Yes, the mainstream media itself is acknowledging that there is something bizarre going on. Well, they have to, because, the State Department has announced that it's pulling out 60% of its staff, diplomatic staff, from Cuba because of these ongoing bizarre sonic attacks, acoustic attacks on U.S. diplomats, also Canadian diplomats. But as far as I can tell, Canada's not going to do anything about it because we love Cuba. We've always loved Cuba. Anyways, when you look at the mainstream media reports, when you look at CBS, when you look at Fox, whoever else you're looking at, I'm sure CNN is going to have to cover this eventually because it's huge. Can we back away from the NFL for a fucking second? Well, how can I guess what CNN is going to do? That's like trying to guess what a fucking drug-addled hobo is going to do. You never know with CNN. Fucking clowns. But anyways, a lot of other mainstream media news sources are finally covering this story, and a lot of us have known about this. A lot of us have been seeing this pop up. This story about these bizarre symptoms, about this headache, more than headache, like symptoms of like concussions, nausea, temporary and permanent hearing loss. Pretty intense stuff. Memory loss. People laying in their beds at night, diplomats and diplomats' families. There's now been 21 confirmed cases, and I'm sure the number is actually a lot higher. Now, you look at the mainstream media, they're saying, I don't know what it is. I don't know. We're trying to work with the Cubans on this one, and the Cubans don't know what it is either, but they're assuring us it's not them doing it. It's not them doing it. And at first, I'm inclined to say, yeah, right, Cuba, fuck you. But then I think again, and I'm like, maybe not. Maybe with Castro's death, there are certain forces out there in the world that were expecting diplomatic relations between Cuba and the United States to fall apart, but that they didn't, so now that they're trying to make them fall apart using, and now this is something the mainstream media is not talking about, this technology, and this is clearly what it is. In my mind, this is 100% what's doing this. Long-range acoustic device. It is a so-called less lethal or non-lethal weapon that is marketed to law enforcement agencies all throughout the United States, and I'm sure in other countries. I missed this the first time I looked at this article. This is very important. This article contains content that is written like an ad. Please help to improve it. Yes, it does need to be improved because I've read through it, and it just conveniently omits the fact that when you turn this thing up to 10, like when you turn it up really high, it can fuck you up. It can give you the symptoms of a concussion. It can give you hearing loss. This is an acoustic auditory weapon. All of the things that this thing is capable of doing completely and perfectly lines up with all of the symptoms that Canadian and U.S. diplomatic staff are experiencing. Canadians in Cuba were also treated for hearing loss. The source, speaking of the said the families are affected by the... where are the symptoms? Give me the symptoms. Here, let me see. You do a Control F there, and you do hearing. At least 5 Canadian diplomatic families were affected by mysterious sonic attacks in Cuba that left them with symptoms including hearing loss, headaches, and dizziness. Okay, well, my other sources here, it's always good. Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is good. Give us some symptoms. Hearing. Symptoms ranging from nosebleeds, nausea, dizziness, severe headaches, mild fucking brain damage, permanent hearing loss, and memory loss. I'm not going to get off on a rant here. It really infuriates me how everybody has been so hung up on the NFL lately. This is this is important stuff, guys. Well, it's breaking now, so maybe for the weekend a lot of you will finally get off your fucking obsession with the kneelers and the dindus and all those jackasses and start to look at some more bigger, important things that are happening in the world. Right? Some of you have seen my video that I did on the German election on Monday. Gee whiz, do you think it might be important to pay attention to German politics? Nah, historically that's never been an important thing to do, right? Nobody. For me, it was a fairly successful video, but I'm just saying people have not been paying attention to things that maybe they should be paying attention to because NFL, fucking NFL. Fuck off with your team sports. Let's get on this team. Come on, let's get on to international relations and international politics. There's something very strange going on here. I hate, though, this spinning of sci-fi, this use of the sci-fi terminology. Oh, it's really sci-fi. No, it's a mainstream technology that is fucking being manufactured, produced, and marketed all kinds of military and police organizations. There's nothing fucking sci-fi about it. There's nothing fantastical or fantasy about it. It's a very real thing. So much so that this company has such a vested interest that they've come in here and they've massaged the facts in this article. Because you read this and you get a nice rundown of all the times it's been used so wonderfully and so successfully. And then you got to wonder, why is it that the mainstream media is not acknowledging that this existing technology perfectly lines up with what's going on in Cuba? Why would that be? Why are they omitting that? Why is there this big lie of omission happening in the mainstream media on this story? Eventually they're going to have to talk about it. If yours truly covers it, there's going to be a 100th monkey effect at some point. People are going to say, well, there does happen to be this thing. Well, I have to admit, Zero Hedge pointed me in this direction, but I don't think they go far enough in exploring it. Sonic weapon used to attack U.S. diplomats. Cuba, yeah, well, I think that is what's going on there. I just really hate this argument from incredulity, this last 2 paragraphs. Not even fucking worth reading. We're getting into Philip K. Dick territory here. Philip K. Dick predicted a lot of shit. Just like a lot of science fiction from the 1950s, even the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You know, Arthur C. Clarke predicted the internet. He predicted telecommunication satellites. You know, William Gibson in the 80s predicted cyberspace. Anyways, let me go into this. Using the word sci-fi as if it's so derogatory. Unless you're talking about Star Trek Discovery. Fuck. Oh, I don't want to get off on that. Oh my god, Star Trek Discovery is such a fucking letdown. The producers have admitted that they're using the Klingons as an allegory for Trump supporters. And by the way, I have this CBS one up on the screen here, and near the end of it I start to detect some anti-Trumpism. They're trying to spin this because, yeah, the U.S. is pulling people out and saying, oh my god, America's admitting defeat, they're letting the Cubans win. So they're trying to turn it around and make this look like it's something bad on Trump. No, we're under some kind of attack, and whether it's the actual Cubans doing it, and they have adamantly denied that it's them. They're not preventing it from happening. And I'm going to get a little bit conspiratorial here with you guys and say maybe it's the CIA doing it. Or maybe it's some deep state globalist puppets, or maybe it's some other globalist entity that would like to see the destabilization of the relationship, diplomatic relations between the United States and Cuba, because, I don't know, maybe they speculate on currencies. Maybe that's a George Soros kind of thing, huh? So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. You know, I was going to go off on talking about sleep paralysis and my own experiences with very low frequencies and stuff, but you know what? That's a whole other video. But this technology to induce profound mental and profound, even physical effects, very real physical effects and pain, this technology to do that sort of stuff through electromagnetic frequencies and sound frequencies, which cross over at a certain point, has been something that's been very, very long understood. Dr. Michael Persinger at Laurentian University, I believe in the early 80s or the mid-1980s, figured out how to induce sleep paralysis. For those of you who don't know, sleep paralysis, also known as kaneshibari by the Japanese, is when you wake up in the middle of the night but you're not fully awake, you can't move, you're completely paralyzed. It's a terrifying experience. It's like a waking nightmare. A lot of people get it. I've had it all my life. And I don't get it that often since I moved into my self-imposed exile up here in the country. Yes. Coincidence? No. I've always suspected, even since I was a young teenager, that it had something to do with the electromagnetic frequencies and all of the noise. All of the electronic background noise that you get in Toronto and any big city. And you know, before it would actually happen, before I'd fall asleep, I'd hear the whoop whoop. A lot of people have heard about this. The whoop 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 whoop. You feel like you're shaking inside of your body. And, yeah, it was a pretty frequent thing. And then sometimes that'd be accompanying with some, like, weird whooshing and whirling sounds and stuff like that. I think Zero Hedge talks about this, the sounds of ringing and... You know, for those of you who have never experienced this stuff, there's always that incredulity. There's like, oh, sure, buddy, sure, yeah. Oh, you're so special, aren't you? You're so special. You're hearing sounds. You wake up and you can't move. Oh, you're such a special snowflake, aren't you? I hate that fucking attitude that some people have. That fallacy of cognitive symmetry. That fallacy of physiological symmetry. Right? Because it doesn't happen to you. You don't think it happens to other people. Like people who think that lactose intolerance is a myth. Stuff like that. And by the way, I've had a big glass of milk before making this video. And you really shouldn't do that before using a microphone. So I'm sorry that I'm pausing now and then. Milk makes mucus, guys. It was lactose-free milk, anyways. But I hate that fallacy of physiological or cognitive symmetry or whatever. Yeah, these fallacies that, yeah, okay, you guys you hear sounds and stuff. Okay. And you're even seeing in the mainstream reports about this stuff. You know, they're putting quotation marks around the word incidents and quotation marks around the words health effects or whatever. So if you want to read more about this weapon, I wouldn't bother going to the Wikipedia article because it's been written by the company that makes it. And they're not giving you a big rundown. I'm not sure where I've heard about it before. I mean, a lot of us have heard about this stuff before. Even, yeah, I know you don't like Alex Jones, but a lot of people who listen to Alex Jones and Art Bell and Coast to Coast AM, George Norrie and all the rest of it, they've heard about these technologies, these non-lethal weapons. There's even been Discovery Channel specials and things on these less lethal weapons and things where they talk about these. You know, this is not science fiction. It is very real. And what they don't tell you in this article and in those documentaries and stuff is that if you jack up the power a little bit, you can really fuck somebody up. And the other thing that I want to mention about it is there's kind of like a sniping element to this, because apparently you get this through inference through reading some of these things. The Mendocino County, California Board of Supervisors approved the purchase of a long-range acoustic device for the Mendocino County blah, 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 because sometimes people go missing, and this would help them in the searches. You know, sometimes hunters and mushroom pickers, it costs the county tens of thousands of dollars to try to find them. So Alman recalled the 2011 search on Air Ambassador, blah, blah, blah. And he's saying they're trying to spin this to say, see, it'll help you find people. How? By aiming it at a huge swath of forest or desert or whatever and just flushing the person out. The only reason I'm bringing this up, well, one, to show you how full of shit this is. Like, obviously, what if somebody had a broken ankle or a broken leg or was incapacitated, they're laying in the middle of the woods, and you're going to point this thing at them? All you're doing is torturing them. You know, this Wikipedia article has very much been written as an advertisement. That banner at the top is true. But the other reason why I'm bringing this up is just to let you know how far away you can use it. Because the Cuban officials and whatever went and tried to figure it out. Hey, we didn't find anybody. We didn't find anybody in the hotel pointing this sound gun. No, well, apparently it can be used from miles away. From miles away. So now you wouldn't find the person doing it. You wouldn't be able to get to the bottom of it that easily. And again, there's this big question. Is it the Cubans or I'm asking the question, is it some other clandestine operation by some other entity, governmental or non-governmental? Or George Soros non-governmental? Something like that. These are questions that I think people should be asking, my Freundchen. Okay, guys, it was good talking to you. I'm sure there's a lot more that I could have covered, but hey, I'll let you guys do some research on your own. I'll leave links to all the stuff that I talked about in the description below. I will leave a link to some videos about this weapon that have been on television. You can get it on YouTube or whatever. It's been really good talking to you. Please check out my Patreon on the screen right now if you're watching on YouTube, and in the description below, no matter what the platform is that you're using. I could really use a little bit of scratch, a little bit extra scratch, a little bit of financial help. Would be very, very helpful and motivating for me. And thanks a lot for clicking and watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. We'll talk to you again real soon. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.